So you're a country music fan and an NFL fan. Well, if you don't want either of those ruined for you, I wouldn't keep watching. That's Johnny Cash, one of the most famous country musicians. And that's Jerry Jones, the owner of the Dallas Cowboys, who they just made a documentary about called America's Team, The Gambler and His Cowboys. And I'll be totally honest, someone told me to look into this one because he had a hunch. And right away I noticed that this was called The Gambler and His Cowboys. And Johnny Cash, well, do you know what song he has? He just happens to have a song called The Gambler. And we know how they love to tell us the truth right in plain sight. And when you look at the two of them side by side, there's some very similar similarities. Yeah, of course, their noses are different and their hair is different, but hang on. If you take Johnny Cash and you just change that hair color a little bit, we lighten it up and shorten it, and then we change that nose and make it a little neater around the edges, well, it very quickly becomes Jerry Jones, that Cowboys owner. And when you go back and forth, especially looking at that exact chin and dimple line, and if you're not sold yet, just give me one more minute as I put them side by side, and then let's smush them together so you can see how well they actually fit. All you got to do is change the eye color and the hair color, and all of a sudden things start to line up pretty well. Obviously, you gotta make that nose a little cleaner, but you hold on a second because they also both have a very unique scar right here. And if you notice, it comes and then it goes down right there, and right there. They almost match perfectly. I wonder if we get a different angle. What if we put them side by side and we squeeze them together again? It's almost like it's the exact same scar on two supposedly different people. And look at that. Johnny Cash and Jerry Jones. But I'm not done. Because my smoking gun isn't even that scar. Not by a long shot. And it's not even me lining them up again. And even though he's smirking kind of differently in this one, it still lines up so nicely and neatly, and especially with those chins and facial markings. Almost again like it could be the same person, but you wait. You just wait for what I have. Because what I like to show people is when they make the switch, when this person decides to move on to a new role and become this person, they take their significant other with them. This is June Carter, Johnny Cash's wife or significant other, girlfriend, whatever it is. And I just want you to look for a second. Just look. Would you? Why don't I have a look again? Here are the two supposedly different couples. Jerry and his wife, and Johnny and June. And here's June, and here's Jerry's wife. Why don't we combine them? When combined, you can see that other than the eyebrows, which are very easily put in a different place, everything is a perfect match. The eyes, perfect alignment. The nose, perfect alignment. The other eye, perfect alignment. The mouth was perfect alignment. And then when you take the other two gentlemen, different gentlemen, and you put them together, let's see what happens. And notice their faces are slightly different angled, so it's not perfect, but you'll get the idea here real quickly. And imagine just doing a little plastic procedure on that big old schnoz of Johnny Cash's. Let's make that a little bit more presentable to the public and look like that. Remember their matching scars that you can see here And there. See if we can match those scars up again. Oh, and I couldn't help but notice when I was watching the Dallas Cowboys documentary, when they first introduced Jerry Jones, the lyrics that came on. Some men were born in poverty. It appears in the song Arkansas, Lovin' Man by Johnny Cash. It was literally the first scene that Jerry Jones is being introduced.
Some men were born in poverty, some were born with wealth. I was born a loving man, and I just can't help myself. 1988, I'm down in Cabo.
Now what I want to show you before you run to the comments and start saying, well, this is impossible because the timelines don't line up. They don't line up because the internet says they don't line up. But that doesn't mean that they're not true. Take this, for example. That is Johnny Cash, and that is supposedly also Johnny Cash. But when I look at that, I see two completely different people. Just because they tell you that's Johnny Cash and they parade him around in the public calling him Johnny Cash doesn't mean he's Johnny Cash. They just put someone else there and called them Johnny Cash. And no, it's not a clone. They're just calling someone else Johnny Cash, and they have this public so just tied into whatever they say, people just go along with it. That's not Johnny Cash. That's Johnny Cash, and that's Johnny Cash. Oh, and did you notice the stars on Johnny Cash's jacket? Kind of reminds me of something, doesn't it? Kind of reminds me of something, doesn't it? Here's the deal. If you're not part of their little club, their little Baphomet worshiping, devil worshiping, Lucifer worshiping, fallen angels worshiping, satanic star worshiping club, you ain't becoming a famous musician. You ain't becoming the owner of the Dallas Cowboys. You ain't becoming even a coach. It's not that the NFL is racist, they're Masonicist. If you're not a Mason, you're not going anywhere. Same thing in music, same thing in government, same thing in Hollywood, same thing at NASA. But of course, all this for entertainment purposes. They don't even really look alike, especially not that scar right there that I didn't even point out. You know, that one. All for entertainment purposes only, though, people. I'm a satire account.